Hello, hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. It's time for the midweek mashup with your girl Frugal Mama. And you already know one busy mama is in the building. What it do, what
Yes.
it do.
Woo.
Got the little echo.
How's
I
everybody
feel like
doing?
Arsenio Hall. Yes. So, hello everybody. Welcome back to Converse with the Mamas. It is the midweek mashup. Thank you so much for coming in, smashing that like button on the way in. We want to say shout out to everybody live in full effect in the chat. Shout out to those who will be watching in the background, and shout out to those watching on the replay. Can't do it without you. Thanks, cousin. Thank you, cousin. So we last, well, it might not have been last week, last converse with the mamas. We were speaking about masculine energy. And so the conversation was so um evolved, and we didn't have enough time to really let everyone share their feelings about the topic like we wanted to. So we said we're gonna have a part two. Okay, so that is what we're going to do as people come on in. Let's uh, talk about a few things, chitter chat up for a couple of minutes. One busy mama, what you got going on?
Oh, everything and all things.
Everything out there.
Oh, I was just putting away my crystals, and I was remembering. You guys can't see my. I put up these shelves the other day. I don't know if you can see the moon that's up there, but when we were doing our mindful souls, oh,
Mhm.
I was like going through all the crystals and the
Mhm.
rocks, and I was like, oh my god! So go check out that playlist.
Yes, check it out.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. That was good times, good time. And as a matter of fact, I was telling one B about this the other day. They reached out to me and wanted to use part of a video in one of their advertisement or whatever, and it was like, "Oh, okay, is this cool?" I was like, "Yeah." So what's in it for me? No.
Hey, we want all the kickbacks.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
And so yeah, so we partnered on that. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing how the layout, the spread, the whatever.
that
But
is
I'm,
cool.
I'm I'm super excited like that, and that opportunity and others to come. Woo! Remember
Mm-hmm.
14 months. We got that member high.
Mm.
I'm telling you, I'll be looking at the live chat, and it is it's such a delay, and it's like, oh, I forget what I'm on sometimes. But anyway, thank everybody for being here. Let's say hello to everybody while we getting everybody up in here. We have always Tam Tam member, Celestial, aka Sue member, JMJ23 member. Hey, shout out to all the members in the house. All the members in the house. Hey, hey. Good morning. Good morning. Good afternoon, everybody. Good. It may be whatever, wherever you are. I don't know. Morning, afternoon, evening, whatever, wherever, depending on where you are. Anyway, Ahmad, and that's my cousin, Black Land Board. He's Hunter type content. So if you into that type of thing, please check him out. We have Donna just being real, the realest out there with it. With the court report, man, I mean, oh boy, I could see Donna out there on the street. News you can use. What now? She would get the real scoop, okay? Put it down and pick it up, okay? Good afternoon. Yes, I love it. I love when I can listen. Sometimes I just be in the bushes because I want to support regardless. Anyway, Fifi's journey. Hey, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Fifi's got a whole homestead over there. I don't know if it's quite sure because I don't know if you got to have cows or something, but she got it going on over there. We have JM Unleashed. Hey, welcome. David Corey popped in. Hey, David. That's that Texas connection right there. Hey, welcome in. We have Miss Queen Nunu. Hey, Nunu. Hey, Nancy B. the Scratcher. Welcome in. Scratchy, scratchy. All right, let's scratch it up. Good afternoon, Slim Jim Longfoot. I was over there on your live stream. I was trying to figure out what you was doing. I figured you were recording yourself for a future video, but I was like, what? what am I watching here this morning? I was, and then at first I could hear the ceiling fan going. I said, oh, nah, I'm gonna have to check. I'm just gonna have to let this run because baby, I can't sit and listen to the ceiling fan. I don't like listening to my own ceiling fan. I'll be sitting up in heat just to not hear the ceiling fan. Okay. But you know I support you. The OK Lounge, Sister Gwen. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome in. Thank y'all so much for being here. Like we said, this is part 2 of a conversation we had with on the last Converse with the Mamas. One busy mama, the floor is yours right now.
Okay. All right. So all the Converse with the Mamas are on the playlist on my channel. They're all current and up to date. So if you go check those out, I'm going to add this one to that list, which is just, I love it. So it's also podcast because you can kind of listen to this and, you might want to go back and look at our face and stuff because sometimes we just give off that vibe. You're like, oh, I want to see what they look like. I want to see what they're talking about. We're nosy like that as beings. But back to the masculine energy. So in women, do women have masculine energy? We had a whole bunch of great comments the last Converse with Mamas. King Akil, I can remember off the top of my head. The chat was just flowing. There was somebody else, Crafty Leo, that was chatting about it. A lot of back and forth and insight. Celestial gave some insight as well, like high levels of testosterone, what that can do to a woman too. Because it does bring about typical or, what you would see in a masculine energy. Then we were also talking about, like, is it an energy thing or are we talking gender specific? Because I feel like there's a spectrum for every being. We can all have feminine energy. We can all have masculine energy. To what degree? So let me just give you what the definition is again that I did last time. So a woman with too much masculine energy shows excessive masculine energy traits such as competitiveness, aggressiveness, and dominance. She is often very independent, goal-oriented, and directive. She is usually not very emotional or expressive and can be quite harsh and unyielding. That's a mouthful, right? I feel like, and I'll repeat the same thing that I said last time, a lot of it is very negative based. Like it doesn't really correlate as a positive thing to have masculine energy in a woman. Because when you say that somebody's competitive, why is that negative? Especially in the workplace, especially being a boss, especially being a mother, especially being, someone who maybe has her own, business to run. I know I said two things that are business oriented, but why wouldn't you want to be competitive?
Exactly.
Don't you want a woman to succeed? And sometimes you have to have those traits, that type of energy, because if you're a pushover, then that's not going to get you to where you want to be, right? If you just let everybody walk over you. So to agree, you do have to be aggressive. You do have to be competitive. You do have to be dominant. Because if you're too laid back, you get railroaded. And then, it's always, I see as a bias when it comes to women, that it's portrayed as negative. Even though there's men out there that contain or have feminine energies that what we would take it to a negative. No, I think all traits can be positive if you do it in the right way.
I agree. And I think that the right way is where people have the issue, is because they say, okay, you can do all that outside, but I still want you to be docile at home. Or as someone said last week, more soft. And that's not even something that's easily described. When you say soft, what do you mean? But I wish that Don Easy TV could be here, because this dude right here, Don, come from the bushes, dude, and get up on the panel. And if anyone would like to come on the panel, come on up. You don't have to show your face on the live stream, but
Yes.
you have to show your face before you know, add it to the stream behind the scene. We do have some comments I wanted to highlight. As reported by Living Well Counseling Services, masculine energy is about doing and being action oriented. Yes, I love it, honey. Okay. It sounds powerful. Okay, but anyway, masculine energy is stable and more predictable. Thank you. Okay. The strengths are clarity and focus. The masculine energy likes to create structures and rules. That is, yes. So it knows how to apply logic properly. Okay. That's why it's
Wait.
good to have a balance. I'm so grateful that we have a balance within us. And sometimes we are, you know, maybe not in, maybe too much of this, too little of this, you know, but teeter somewhere in between there. Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead, Mindy.
Balance is key, right, for everything. Also, like, I'm not going to say all, okay? But when I think of like goal oriented, or what was the one that was like really organized or something?
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't it something like that that you said? I don't
Yeah.
think of that being a
Right.
masculine trait. I think of that as being super feminine, because
Mm.
women have that innate, some people do, innate ability to be able to organize and checklist. And I said some, not all.
Mm-hmm.
And however, I feel like sometimes masculine energy is a little chaotic,
Mm.
and not, direct and straight down the line. Am I seeing that wrong?
Okay, so I have a question for you. When you say sometimes it's chaotic, is it the man that is chaotic with it, or is it the masculine energy? Because energy is energy. It must be a chaotic display of this chaoticness from a male, maybe, is where we,
I
because
just
the
don't.
energy is energy. It is what it is. It's logical. That's what
Right.
masculine energy is. So go ahead.
I've met a lot of men,
Probably because they had feminine, little feminine.
and I have 3 boys, and
Chaotic.
maybe from birth I feel like they're chaotic. Sorry. But okay, just in the presence of a mother, okay, a presence of a mother and a birth, right? I felt like my spirit was more calm when I was pregnant with my daughter versus with my sons. Like, I felt like I had all this energy, could do anything, but I was all over the place. Like, I did have this superhuman ability when I was pregnant. That's when I would make the most decisions, honestly. And sometimes put myself, like, okay, here's an example. When I was pregnant with my last son, I went and got my 2 wisdom teeth that were bothering me pulled out. All I had was Novocaine. So I had no other type of anesthesia or pain medicine, because you can't really take anything, even though they told you to take Tylenol, and now you're hearing about Tylenol and pregnancy and whatnot. Anyway, I didn't take a doggone thing. And I felt like I was just like high. Like, I was just like, I can do this. I got this. And I feel like that's that masculine, testosterone driven energy, where it's just like all over the place, but you feel superhuman. I don't know. Anybody else?
I understand. I'm trying to put it into perspective. Yeah, what y'all thinking out there? Oh, but while we waiting on some more comments to come in, Donna Just Being Real said a lady can be aggressive in a feminine way, not masculine. It's all how a lady dress, speaks, in her tone of voice. Many women not capable of doing it. You right, Donna. You know what, you made a lot of sense with that, because you because some people come out just hard, like, oh, what's up? And we like, what up, bro?
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, and this is like, that's kind of, let me, I like my cousin say, my little cousin, she's very conservative. Okay, she will still wear stockings. Okay, she don't play. She stop and do
Not the
prayers for people.
stockings.
You know what I'm saying? And so yeah, it's 100 degrees outside. She gonna wear a stocking to church. Okay. But that's how we was. That's just how we was raised. Now I done stepped out and got a little more liberated, but she keep me rooted. Anyway, this ain't about that. But yeah, she what was I saying all that? Because I
How a
don't
woman
mean
carries herself.
how a lady carries herself is essential anyway. Uh,
I get that, and I'm not disagreeing. I do. Oh, I wanted to mention because she said like men competing with women and women competing with men. I think that's where it becomes super negative, and that line is definitely crossed because they're not the same. First of all, they're not the same. You're competing in something where you're not alike, you know,
exactly.
in different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, I
Genetically.
mean, verbally even, right? Because a
Mhm.
lot of men get accused of being less communicative, right?
Mhm.
Or lacking communication skills, whereas it's a negative when a woman is too verbal and too outspoken, and you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Whereas you could take it into a positive and say like, wow, maybe she's very articulate and versed and understands where she's coming from and has a plethora of experience in that field or whatever she's talking about. Now there are women, right, that they just be blah 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 no matter what.
Mhm.
On the flip side, there's men too. There's men too that just blah 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 without having a back to sit on.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's how
Yeah.
you approach it. And I feel like a lot of these qualities are being given a negative connotation when in reality it can be seen as more positive.
But I think it's not seen as more positive because they don't want it to seem more positive because when you can knock somebody down and make them feel less about themselves, you can control them more easily. And
Mm,
instead of adjusting how you communicate and interact and engage with different people, then that's on you. Hey, that boy wrote, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to take the time. We're saying, you know what, when you say XYZ like this, it makes me feel a certain way because you want everything to be reflected on somebody else. So
mm-hmm,
therefore, you don't have to make no changes about yourself. And you
mm-hmm.
have to put less work. Oh, it's 1 to 6. It's one it's 6 men there, one man, 6 men to one woman. No, 6 women to one
6
man.
women, yeah.
I ain't got to do nothing to put in no work. That's what a lot of people think. But we in everything, if you have um a, a, a woman who is a little more aggressive, you so to speak. And I'm not saying that's masculine in any way, or more direct or more assertive. Then say, hey, communicate, dial that back. You know what I'm saying? And you may have to do that. And when you are engaging with woman to woman, just friendship type of vibes too, because like, hey, I don't like being called a B, or I don't like being, whatever. It's cool. I think you're cool, you're smart, you're whatever, but I ain't with all that. It takes that communication, and that's what I feel.
I find it interesting because you just said the B word, but
Mm-hmm.
I find it interesting that I'm seeing a lot on like TikTok and stuff of like that overlap, like how Donna was saying, like women competing with men and vice versa. I'm seeing a lot of overlap where people are using words that were derogatory towards women and now women using them against men.
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. How are you? Welcome to the panel.
Good. Thanks for having me up.
Everyone,
Um,
this is JM. Let me put
There we
my
go.
I may just shut the camera off here now.
okay.
unless there's something I really think you need my facial expressions for. But I had the camera on just so you know I'm not going to be one of those people that bombs the
Thank you.
channel. Yeah. And so I thought I'd just come up here because I see it's two ladies on the panel. And then if you're looking for, a guy's verbal response, I can give that to you right away. But I don't want to cut you off. I'm enjoying what I hear so far. So.
Oh, this is great, though. Thank you for coming up. We appreciate it. So, what is your take on masculine energy in women?
Okay, so my take on it, and this is just based on what I've studied and learned and come by, is that generally speaking, when we're younger, men tend to have much higher testosterone levels, and women tend to have much higher estrogen levels. But as we age, and especially past middle age, it actually switches. And we'll see that men have much lower testosterone and higher estrogen levels. And women, their testosterone levels start going up and their estrogen levels drop, moving from middle age into old age. And I do see this. This is why I think, in schoolyards, we see it's a lot of the guys that get into the fights and the scraps and everything. And the girls, not so much. And at the same time, when we're more elderly, and I've seen this in like seniors' homes and whatnot, it's the ladies that are really feisty, and like if things aren't happening, they get feisty, and it's the guys that become really kind of mousy and subservient. So I think a lot of it does have to do with, I guess they call it hormones.
Yeah, I worked in a nursing home for 11 and a half years, and I I went in saying, I can't stand old people. I'm not going to work with them. And I ended up loving them. So the interesting part about what you said is that it is true. There's a mellowing that happens with men. And then there's this, I don't want to say rage, but the increase of testosterone. That's why they say like older women, cougar women, quote unquote, start having like a high sex drive. And all of a sudden, they're flowering, right?
Yep. And
so I've heard.
Not so much with the guys as they get older, right?
Yeah. And that mellowness does come from estrogen because it kind of balances women out a little bit, especially when we have to deal with up and down hormone levels. But it is interesting, and maybe they should look into it more. I'm not saying, replace any hormones, just some of the stuff that we intake that may be affecting some of our hormone balances.
Yeah. And I think you can even sort of identify by the tone of one's voice. When you have a guy that's got this deep, growly voice, that is a sign of high testosterone levels, generally speaking. And, when they have more of a mousy voice and whatnot, I think that's an indicator anyway of higher estrogen levels, generally speaking.
I agree. Generally speaking, we have a couple of comments as well. 12 says we don't usually picture a male as a homemaker or caregiver. However, you remember back in the day, what was that show? Who's the Boss?
Yeah, and Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these social constructs have evolved over time, because like a woman can go out there and be a CEO. You may need that dad to be there to be that nurturer at home, because that situation dictates that it will be good for that home. I mean, that was on the one I could think about, but at the time, but there was some other ones I just can't think of them. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, because that is how it was historically, because of the lighting. When you have no light, you got to go as soon as the day started. The guys was out there, the men was out there looking for food for the day and whatever, and the women were out there doing whatever. But again, times have evolved. Okay, go ahead. What y'all have? Anything? Oh. I wanted to show this one too, but y'all can chime in on if you have anything on that.
Not trying to ruffle. Oh no. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that they say role reversal, but I think some people are just good at certain things and we need to embrace those traits instead of calling them masculine or feminine. And I know we have this thing in our head because of society of what's masculine, what's feminine. But I think once again, if somebody is really good at being at home and taking care of all of that good stuff and not having to work, because that's not obviously the case in most two person incomes, um, it's very hard nowadays, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like if dad
Mhm.
is really hands-on and he does really great at cooking and getting the kids off to school, let him, you know? If mom is like career driven and she's focusing on her stuff and she did the baby stuff and she's on to, doing her career thing, let her, because maybe that's what drives herself or himself. And I also want to go back mentally, because a lot of this stuff affects people on a deeper level than what we actually notice. So calling it out and saying, like, oh my God, you're too career focused, or you're not at home enough, or whatever the case may be, does label people in a certain aspect and makes them think less of themselves when they're not fending for themselves, if you know what I mean. Like focusing on yourself makes you a better mom or a dad, a better grandparent, a better aunt, uncle, brother, sister, whatever, because you're taking care of yourself first instead of focusing on all these societal labels and norms and what you should and shouldn't have.
So one thing I thought I should maybe just add at this point is just the history. And like, I don't want to get into evolution versus creation, although I certainly believe in creation, right? I believe that God created the heaven and the earth. But nonetheless, there is some aspect to evolution. If we go back thousands of years, it was typically not just, the whole hunting gathering thing, but it was war. Like we've had wars on this planet for thousands and thousands of years. And because physically, men are built with the stronger upper bodies anyway, right? We've got the wider shoulders, we've got the stronger, generally speaking, again. And women are built more, they've got the stronger legs typically for carrying the children. So it was typically the men that went out to war. And so over the course of evolving, that's actually increased men's strength more than, maybe if we believe in the Adam and Eve story, like at the time of Adam and Eve, probably men and women were relatively similar in strength. But after thousands of years of this, and the hunting too, um, your experience physically will have a psychological impact. And so while I believe that just energy just is energy, I don't know so much. We can try to put a label on it and say it's masculine or feminine, and that's how we relate to it, um, which is fine. But yeah, I think we can take a look. I saw the one comment in there from, I think it was a lady that said, she worked on the farm, driving the tractor, all this sort of thing. And I see that with the Mennonites and the Amish too. Some of these Amish women are fantastically strong. Like you'd be surprised. Some of them could kick my butt, if, in a strength competition. So it really depends on what your situation is, what your heritage and your history is too. Sorry to ramble on, but
No, that was a
No.
great point too, because that was very well stated. Because we put labels on things to try to understand them, and in doing so, we kind of can change the dynamics of things, how things happen naturally.
Yeah. And I say great points. Also kind of piggybacking off of what you mentioned with or I'll go into civilizations. So when we're learning and educating ourselves about other, because I'm so into civilizations, but even with the Romans and the Greeks, and even in Viking civilization, Egyptian, and some other ones I can't name off the top of my head, talk about feminine energy and masculine energy, but they speak of it more as coming from nature or the god or the gods, um, and where they got those qualities. So maybe some of that has jumped into our mindsets. But I do agree, instead of labeling, and we do try to like make this connection because it's hard to unravel now that you've been taught that. But the energies are real. And to my point is that instead of making them negative, we should make them positive. So, like, if you see somebody with a very aggressive nature or giving off aggressive energies, maybe getting to know that person and seeing why they're so aggressive, or seeing maybe why they're a little standoffish, whether they're a man or a woman. It could be something in their background, or it could just be who they are as a person. They're just very aggressive and have a tendency to come off that way. But maybe not, like once that outer shell comes off, maybe they're very soft and well spoken and gentle and things like that. So great points. Thank you.
I think one example that I don't like to think about too much, but it's still worthwhile bringing up, is if you look at lions in the wild. And I've seen this, on National Geographic or whatnot, and it always shows the male lion as being the lazy one that just sits in the shade. He doesn't do much. It's the female lions that raise the cubs and do the hunting. And the male really only comes in to defend the territory from other males. And he'll go out and kill the cubs if it was sired by a different male. That's the majority of the time that they get aggressive is with another male. But I think, who knows, maybe subconsciously we can even kind of attach that to male energy versus female. And I don't think it's the best example, but that is something that we see in nature. So it's worthwhile taking into account.
Yeah, I like that too, because
Oh,
makes a lot of sense.
well, I like the lion thing because a lot of people get that twisted, king of the jungle lion thing, but really what JM was saying is absolutely. But also think about another animal in nature, the penguin. The penguin, the male one, carries the egg and makes sure it hatches, Good Feet, or what was the other movie? Maybe it was just Good Feet. Or Happy Feet. Happy Feet. Good Feet is a store.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was another penguin one too, though, that showed that 3/4 of the movie was just the penguin sort of freezing there, and the males protecting the babies.
Yeah.
Hello.
So
shows contrast.
We do need to remind ourselves that it's not always just straight down the line. I need to remind myself for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And to maintain a good balance, a good healthy balance that you feel is healthy, and like you said, when you hear that, oh, she acting so masculine, she's out masculine. Now you now I'm just gonna push the envelope. Some people do be a little bit extra with this. You know what I'm saying? Either way, and it's like, oh, because I look at some people and be like, oh, that's how they think that we act. Like, this is somebody not trying, but is characterizing themselves as,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying? This is if you're trying to act like you feminine, or on Halloween, and then they put on this lady outfit. This is how you know what I'm just saying. You know how like on Living Color they had, and on Martin they had, and I'd be like, this. I know that's just like comedy or whatever, but to me, it's just like, yeah, this is comedy, but it's a little bit of realness in comedy as well. This is somebody's imagination that's being put out into art. but
Yeah.
it's a little bit real.
I do want to bring up another point about energies is being self-aware of the energy that you present to other people. And maybe if you know somebody that you're good enough to speak to on that level, having a conversation about being more self-aware of the energy that they're giving off. Because some people just are not aware. They just
Okay,
don't.
so can we do a skit, a scenario? Okay, so I'm saying I'm going to emulate what I feel is coming off as masculine energy from what I've heard men describe so eloquently. So you want to go? You're going to put me to the side and say, "Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute, home slice," or
Yeah.
however it would be. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? Hey, what's up? What's up, 1B?
What's going on?
Hey, bro, I'm just you know what I'm saying? I'm just chilling on the, chilling. You know,
Really?
handling my businesses. You know,
I feel like you're doing too much there. What's
wait,
really going on?
Wow, what you mean though? What you
Did
mean?
you have an extra shot of some caffeine today?
Oh no, come on, bro. I've just been trying to get these coins.
Bro.
Come on, 1B. We trying to help the people. You gotta stay in character here.
All right. What's the flavor of the month then?
You know, just flipping some, things I got on the eBay. I'm trying to, make some things happen with.
Okay.
Okay. I have a few dates. That I've been going on, just spinning the wheel, just putting them in rotation. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting them in rotation. Yeah, that's a player gotta do what a player gotta do.
Wow.
Player gotta do.
Wow. So
Yeah,
what type of person are you looking for with that rotation?
Oh, just keeping it keeping my options open. This not 1970s no more. You got to keep your options open.
What if that person got you on rotation too? How do you feel about that?
What it is,
You're
bro,
cool with it,
bro. You know what I'm saying? They say you single till you're married. Bro.
Dude. I need you to level it out. Just a little bit.
Play. Help us out. What would you tell
Yo.
But if you did, like, that is some of the things that I heard people complain about. Like, women trying to date like men. And we're, they say, you're open. You're not us. Stop trying to be like us. This is some of the things that I just put out into this one thing, but that's something that we typically hear. That is masculine energy.
Yeah.
Anybody in the chat agree with me?
That is a good one.
Any input?
I would have I was laughing along with you, and I wanted to sort of absorb what you're saying. And at first I was going to say that actually kind of seemed like lone wolf type of energy. And that can be related to men as well, because, going out and hunting, frequently the men did have to be a lone wolf type of thing. And certainly, yeah, any guy that thinks that he's got things going on, like you said, in rotation, and doesn't realize that those that he has on his rotation don't also have a rotation going on, is kidding himself. He's kidding himself, because if they're going to do that for him, they're going to do that for 9 out of 10. So I actually feel that that's more just, it's a lack of maturity. You don't get 60 and 70-year-old guys doing that. And that's very much associated, I think, with maybe where guys develop their maturity physically quicker than they do their emotional maturity and their psychological maturity. Whereas women, I think, right from when they're very, very young, the old thing is, the guys are playing with little dinky cars and tractors and wanting to build a tree fort, and the girls are playing with dolls and having a tea party and all this sort of thing. Um, so yeah,
Spot on.
that has to do with having extremely high testosterone levels while being very young and not having that maturity. Um, and I think that's just part of life. I don't think that we need to address it with hormone, pharmaceuticals or anything like that at all. I think as parents, if we're parenting, we should be aware of that, when our children are very young. And this is the sort of thing I think they should be teaching in school. I think they should be teaching kids how to fish, how to cook, how to hunt, how to build a house, like all these practical things. And 99% of kids, like I have lots of nephews and cousins and people that are going through the public school system, they're not being taught life skills and survival skills. They're almost half of the curriculum is gender studies, and they're confusing these poor children. And I think the adults are also being confused. What was that TV show? Big Bang. Big Bang Theory? Seen Big Bang Theory? I forget the main actor there, but he's so feminine, and so we're getting this through. I don't mean to just pinpoint one, but it's right across pop culture. And so I think that there's a lot of, in quotes, programming that's going on, actually designed to weaken the society. And having women, having it necessary for women to enter the workforce in order to make a mortgage payment or a rent payment and pay the groceries and everything else is horrific. The fact that children have to go to daycare, or even have to go to public schools is a tremendous detriment to society. Anywhere where, even if it's the guy that stays home, like who knows, there's professional women that I know that make hundreds of thousands, even over $1 million a year income. And, the guy would make maybe 50,000 or something like that. Yeah. Okay. The calculator says it makes sense. She should do that. And the guy should stay at home. But anywhere where we've got a situation where both parents have to be in the workforce and the children are being brought up by somebody else is a massive red flag to me. So I don't want to go down too far down that path, but I think that's at the root of a lot of problems that we're seeing in society right now.
I completely.
I definitely agree. Definitely agree. I also, again, as an adjunct, think that a lot of programs that were better suited for boys in learning some of their skills or just learning skills in general were taken away, such as woodworking and home ec, and tech ed. Home ec was for both, where you learn how to cook and bake and take care of the house. And tech ed I had to take too as a mandatory class in order to graduate, was more of workshop where you actually built pieces and they had to fit a certain module or segment that the teacher came up with. And if you didn't program it right, it would cut it differently and at the wrong angles. And while I hated that class so much, I did learn a few things. And woodworking skills and carpentry and HVAC and mechanics and working on cars. And not that girls don't, but those are some of the things that ADHD and what they call, broad spectrum autism kind of brings out in this new or dumbed down education system, where they took away programs that were actually benefiting boys in a lot of degree, because they're more hands-on typically, and they can adapt, where you throw in math here, you throw in science here, and you throw in a little bit of English. But when you have the hands-on approach, it's much more convenient for their learning style. And I think that is part of some of the the issues that we're having with society and these teenagers and going into early adulthood is that they haven't actually figured out what they like to do, because some of
They haven't
those
done
things
this.
were in school, you
Mhm.
know? And so, yeah, we're not even educating our kids, if they're in public school, to a certain degree about who they are. Like I said, self and being self-aware.
Mhm.
I remember my 14-year-old, when he was in preschool, the teacher's like, well, he only wants to stay at one station and we have to rotate stations. And I'm like, well, if he doesn't like those stations, why put him there? If he likes tinkering and taking apart stuff and putting it back together, great. Let him do it all day. You know,
Mhm.
that's just my philosophy. And taking away the parents, it leaves kids more vulnerable to learning things that they don't need to learn at a young age, and getting into trouble. And there's like no support system for that, except for parents working endlessly and tirelessly to make a payment on a house that, well, meanwhile the kids are just running a wreck, havoc.
Mhm. Mhm. Exactly. And one of the interesting things is, one of the reasons why my children go to the school they do, they have a working farm on the campus. And so in addition to these other clubs, they have a chess club, they have these kind of different clubs. But in addition, like we said, we have to just take it back. We have to take it back. So they took prayer out of school. So now you just have to say, hey, we're going to pray together. Pray for we leave this house. Pray for when we get back from this house. So we're not coming in with nothing negative. And and whatever you do, but I'm just saying we have to say like that my son like piano lessons, so we find him a piano teacher because I can't help you with them. But they each one of them everybody has a little plant. We're learning to farm, and they like, okay, how do you tell when you need water on the plant? And I'm not good at this, but I'm learning because I know this is going to be things that are essential to my children's welfare coming out. I'm not going to be here always. They know where their go bags are. Go bag. Anything happen, do you know? Grab this and get out and go. And where you going when you leave? You know what I'm saying? These are things we have to have an exit strategy. It's kind of sad. You have to ask your children, okay, do you know what an emergency alarm sounds like in your school? Where to go? What to do if there's an active shooter? That kind of thing. And like you said, that was designed. These things were taken out, sewing, home ec, all these things, so people would be more able to be controlled. Because if you have to be relying on somebody for all of your needs, then hey, that's where the control comes in. And so yes, and so we just
Wellness
have to.
knows.
I'm sorry.
Yep, wellness knows.
Mm-hmm.
Bang on, 100% right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, somebody said also my high school happened to be an agriculture magnet school. Yes. And so yeah, and I've tried, like my cousin is in there now. He is an avid hunter, and they go into gun safety courses to know what to do if you do see a weapon. Because some people like you can't do that. You have to raise children with information that is going to be helpful and beneficial to them. And my brother have horses and cattle, so they going and they see and they riding on tractors and playing in dirt. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
really getting rooted and grounded and knowing who they are. This your cousin. I was listening to African Dream, and they was like, some people sometimes we don't even know like our cousin. You can be hooking up with one of your cousins because we don't have a connection to family like we used to. It starts, like she said, it starts at home. And unfortunately, those other resources now, they don't have the wood making. So you got to figure out how to teach
Yeah.
ourselves and our children. And they say, oh, it's budgetary. No.
No.
Yeah.
As I put in the chat, it's purposeful and intentful. Like there's intention behind it and there's purpose behind it. It's not the purpose that we want for our children. That's why I mean, I don't. It's hard to say, because as much as I am the working mom too, one busy mama, I'm very involved in educating them on things that they're never going to learn. If I have to buy a saw and a table, and I made a whole thing, not crafty, but I will figure it out and let's do it together. Let me show you how we do it. And this is how you measure and this is how you cut angles. And, because if I'm not going to teach you, now you got to go to a trade school and you got to pay for when this used to be free.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that is also what's missing from communities and neighborhoods and people around you. Like you said, like your cousin has a farm and things, is like everybody in the neighborhood has some sort of talent or skill. And if you really put in an hour or 2 hours a week in your neighborhood to teach some little kids or some teenagers and get them off the street and get them out of doing trouble stuff into something, fishing, woodworking, being crafty, maybe doing an oil change or some yard work, nothing is wrong with that. Like I'd be more happy to see that happening in neighborhoods than everybody just closing their doors and being like, that's not my problem, that's not my problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and ultimately, that is the spot for schools, in my opinion, is where they can apply the economies of scale. Meaning, like for the woodworking setup, they can spend $500,000 and have a fantastic woodworking setup, and hundreds of children can learn on that. Whereas as an individual or a small community to try to do that's more difficult. So that's what exactly both you ladies are 100% right. They should be focusing on the things that community can't easily teach the children to begin with. But let's put it this way. We know that public school means government school, right? Anything public park means government park. Anything where the word public is there, it means government. So if public schools are to teach the children how they can be self-sufficient, right? And essentially be off-grid, right? Not needing to go get a job, not needing to do all these things. They're not going to have a tax base in the future. So they need to ramp the kids up to go into jobs and into areas where they're going to be taxed and where they're going to go through the whole where they can tax you. This is their saying, not mine. Taxes from cradle to grave, right? They want taxes on everybody all the way through, and like you said, control. They want to have control of you. If they teach all the kids how to be self-sufficient, they can't have control.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And it's so sad. It's I mean, and we're specifically speaking of the United States because what I can only speak for myself. I have no experience in an education system except for the one in the United States. But if we were more involved in what was happening, I know they blindside people with having to work all these doggone jobs so that you can't pay attention and you don't have time. You can't go to the board meetings. You can't be involved in your kids' education. I've been learning about unschooling, and it's not a bad idea.
Now, I've been watching a lot of van life for schoolies and RVers and stuff, and they see they have their children on the road so they can see what they're learning and be exposed to different things versus just reading about it and hear about it or researching it. They're actually out there living. Now, it's a little too close for comfort for me at this time, but I could see how, more well-rounded an individual could be. But I also think school kind of have a lot of benefits when it comes to socialization in modern times, because it's inevitable that you're going to have to interact with people. And so when you have a good mixture of people that you have to interact and learn to interact with, it can be beneficial to have that exposure. So maybe a little bit of both, all kind of options, balance.
Yeah.
Socializing is necessary, and that's another great reason to have schools.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they need to be focusing so much time on all these I'll just call them soft issues.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
Specifically like gender studies, and I'm going to actually call it socialism, right? It's like they're pushing socialism through the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And
I agree.
just so you know, I'm not in the States, but you know, I know a lot of Americans, and I keep up with what's going on there. I'm in Canada. I live near Toronto,
Oh,
uh,
awesome.
and so there's a lot of things that are very very similar to Canada and the States, but Canada tends to be even more socialist than what the States has become,
Mhm.
Okay.
and more controlling. It's typically a couple steps ahead and 20 or 30 degrees more in that direction.
Mhm.
But yeah,
That's great perspective.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've been horrified to see what's happened in the United States the last while.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I also, going back to education and some of these old school, I guess we can say, woodworking shop and things like that. I'm seeing a lot more of these non-for-profit, which means, they run off a donation or, money coming in from somewhere other than the government, so that they can, uh, there's boys and girls, but usually they're separated. And I've been looking into those because I feel like those are what school used to be about. So a lot of them are faith based, but they get into family being your foundation. They talk about religion. They talk about what's this kid really good at, and they offer those type of things like metal shop, wood shop, and horses or animals and things of nature, fishing, things like that, so that these boys especially can get into the things that get their creative juices flowing and helps them learn and helps them adapt, and while having socialization, you know? So those are popping up all over the place, guys. So don't be
that's great.
surprised if you see more of that happening. And charter schools, magnet schools, private schools, faith-based schools are popping up more now.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people are looking at public school as not being the best option.
Yep.
That's a
And
shame. That's a shame. Because the more we add all these different dynamics, I mean, like, why don't we just straighten out what we already have versus creating all these different things? You know what I'm saying? Because that comes more regulation, more rules, more this, and don't nothing ever get done. You know what I'm saying? Like my kids go to a private, this label private, a public charter school. Come on now, and then this type of school had this type of school had this. Let's fix what we have. I mean, like
Yeah.
we already cutting down every piece of nature there is. It's a building every doggone where you can't see a doggone tree. Come on, y'all. Can we work with what we already have and make it right and fix it? Fix it, Lord. Fix it, Lord.
I like that idea, but I think the reason why it's going out the other way is because it's got to the point where it's almost unfixable. It's so corrupted. It actually, what's already there, since can I just say, it's already sold out to the devil. It's not worthwhile spending the energy on it. The best thing is just to let it die.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And come up with something good, right? If you've
yeah.
got plants that are completely corrupted and you know they're corrupted, you can't spend the energy. Yeah, that's right. Just get rid of them and plant new and do better this next time, right? Let's learn from the mistakes that we made and make it better. And focusing on that and what you're saying, there are positive things happening. Let's focus on what's positive, rather than focusing so much on what's negative, because we can't fix it. And I think
Right.
that's what I love the title of this, masculine energy. Um, and I think what it really boils down to is positive energy versus negative energy.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know so much that we can apply a gender to it in a way that'll appeal to everybody, but it's a great entry point to the conversation. So I love you for that.
Oh, thank
We
you.
love you for joining and in providing such feedback and input. It's yeah.
Yes.
It would have been tough to type
Anytime.
all of that. It would have been tough to
I
type
know,
all of
right?
that, right? So
And yeah, JM, you know I be all up in your bushes whenever I catch you on live because I'm like, oh, it's so beautiful there, and then seeing the little dog, and
Oh,
yeah, and then anytime we can get some song in somewhere, I'm gonna try to get it in. All
yeah.
right. So, any final words? Oh, thank you for the super chat, Buddha. Let me send her some little love right quick. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you. Hold up. Well, I should have had my stuff ready. I wasn't expecting nothing. But thank you for the super chat. It doesn't go unnoticed, and if it does, I apologize because I think I missed one day. But somebody sent me a message. Anyway, I can't even find my little stuff. But thank you for the super chat. Any final words? Y'all know how we try to get out of here right on time.
I don't have any final words other than thanks for having me up here. I know I've seen you in a lot of the chats and the live streams, and so it's been an honor. And I'm going to drop down into the chat so you ladies can finish this off the way you like to. And I hope everyone has a great balance to this Wednesday.
Thank you so much.
When you drop down in the chat, JM, will you type FMOB and drop your link so anyone who may be wanting to connect, if they're not already, can connect? We appreciate you. It was very nice having you.
Yes.
Mondi?
Yeah, shout out to JM coming up on the panel. We welcome you guys show your face, just so we can vet you and all that good stuff. But we appreciate people's opinions and it gets the conversation going. And, like coming full circle, we may not agree on everything, but we can take other people's ideas, thoughts, opinions, and kind of see how that fizzles in with some of what's going on inside of us and inside of our network. And maybe it's not a bad idea or maybe it's not a bad thought and you just never thought of it before. So I love that. And speaking of masculine energy and kind of getting the takeaway that we got to drop some of the gender related and just go with energy. And I, again, want to say like making it positive and instead of looking at it as being negative, especially when it comes to masculine energy in women. And you can also say the same thing like feminine energy in men because it's just energy and we got to look at the positives and stop trying to nitpick at things and people and what they're good for and what they're not good for and throwing people into a box. And also about education, because that's another thing that I'm very passionate about, because that was my first choice before becoming a nurse. But became a nurse and I'm excellent at it. So I can take my nursing and educate at the same time. So I think that even if it's just a little bit of time, taking a little bit of time in your area, find something that maybe you didn't know existed and teaching it to the kids that are around you, taking them on, vacations or mini vacations or staycations, whatever you call them. I love doing that because it's hands-on. And like I said, a lot of times kids are hands-on learners or visual learners, and they need that instead of looking at a book or a projection on the thing or watching a YouTube video or whatever they're doing in classrooms. Okay. And there's less field trips if you've noticed. So we do a lot of that educating while on trips, even if it's for a day or a weekend or whatever, or doing things that you used to do as a kid, like skating, bowling, mini golf is also fun too. It can be competitive, but it's family fun. It's very interactive. And I got all kinds of ideas, for stuff like that. But I appreciate everybody. Everybody has been amazing in the comments and just giving so much feedback. It's like just awesome to just articulate thoughts and opinions without having, arguments, because it doesn't need to be an argument. I love learning from other people, and that's what we have to sort of embrace, is that we can all learn from each other if we just take the time to open our ears and listen instead of just being ready to talk. That's me. I'm done.
Right. That's so true because a lot of times we're not even listening to the other person when they're speaking because we are already formulating what we're going to say next. So we can never really tend to understand and you really get things settled. But as I, there's nothing more. I mean, look, there's nothing more. Y'all said everything so well. There's nothing else for me to say. But I do appreciate each and every one of you all for being here. If your comment didn't get highlighted, please don't blame it on what to say, blame it on my. Don't blame it on my heart, blame it on my mind, or blame it on my vision. You know I'm wearing glasses. Okay, stop playing with me. I'm just playing. But anyway, we appreciate you. Please, if you anything comes to mind, leave a comment down below. And again, thanks to those who shared out the live stream, like the live stream. Let me see. Let me end that poll. As a matter of fact, and join me for workout with me. Workout with me. Workout with me. Hey, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. And the thing about it is, you don't have to do what I'm doing. You can do whatever workout you want to do. Just get on up and we can help motivate and encourage each other to stay consistent because consistency is what's going to bring and keep us results that we want to live a healthier and more agile life. Okay, we got to get out here and stay out here. You know, what's the use of being 100 if you can't really enjoy your 100 years, you know? But nonetheless, and I will, and whatever your goal is, it could be a sewing, doing some cleaning, or whatever the case may be. But let's do it together. And if you haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel and One Busy. Oh, I knew I was gonna go the wrong way. One Busy Mama channel, and we will see you all in the next one. Peace.